And so the Clomid didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
we advanced to IUI, and that we did 4 rounds of IUI, which was just a very vulnerable experience, I feel. I remember at the time, I also wasn't telling anybody about it. And so I was working full time. And so I was hiding it from colleagues and stressing about coming up with excuses other than the dentist and the doctor. And I remember being so excited when I thought about of a financial advisor appointment, because it was just different, than the other excuses. And I just
Mm-hmm.
remember the
Mm-hmm.
perspective it gave me on life, just like because I had done one that morning before going into work, or one of the mornings going into work. And I just remember chatting with a colleague, and in the back of my mind, just thinking like
Mm.
of what we had just gone through that morning, how vulnerable and how emotional that process was.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, it gave me that understanding. We just truly never know what other people are going through, and, how important it is to be empathetic and kind and all of that. And so we had
Yeah.
done the 4 IUIs, and then that didn't work. And then here we were at a crossroads to make a decision to do IVF. And I mentioned earlier that I'm from Ireland and I was raised Irish Catholic. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a really tough decision to make, just based on the beliefs I was raised on that I truly didn't necessarily share, but I think they were just kind of ingrained in the back of my head and made me feel like doing IVF was
Mm-hmm.
the wrong thing. And I felt like I was embarrassing my family, and I felt ashamed of my body and that I was broken, and just so emotional. And at the time, my husband and I, we were super connected during this, and we would take our walks together. We would get up early before work with our dog. And that was, again,
Mm.
that's still like some of my fondest memories of us together. And it was so important, I think, to keep us connected and grounded during that time. But during one of those walks, when he was trying to convince me, because he was all on board with IVF, he used the example of just if I had gotten cancer or another disease, like I would use any medical advances and
Mm.
science to help me through that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny now looking at it, I totally don't see a difference between like a kidney transplant and like using a surrogate or, getting help in this at all.
Yeah.
But as I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, just with my
Mm-hmm.
upbringing, I hadn't pictured myself in that position yet. And so I hadn't really expanded on that thought much. And so once he explained it to me that way, I was totally on board. And so we were ready to do IVF. And then once we made that decision, I was so excited. And we were told our chances were high. We were told they were about
Mm-hmm.
60% because of our age, where we were young and our
Wow.
diagnosis was unexplained. So I truly just, I didn't have so much knowledge and education on IVF. And so I had just thought that the first round would work right away. And, now I have
Mm-hmm.
obviously a much better understanding working with other women and helping other women. So when we went through the first round, we did egg retrieval, and we found out we had to do emergency ICSI, which that also felt like another
Mm.
thing that just was working against us. It just felt like another blow. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and
Another
it was
blow,
something our
right?
doctor
Another
hadn't
blow.
prepared us for. So it just
Mm-hmm.
like really caught us off guard in the moment,
Mm.
and, was really stressful. But luckily the ICSI worked. I think I had about 19 fertilized eggs, and then or 19 eggs and 12 fertilized, and then we had three healthy embryos. So
Gotcha. Wonderful.
that
Yeah.
first round then of IVF, we put in one of the embryos, and then that failed. And so that was devastating. I remember getting that call, and we were just like,
Isn't
oh
it?
my
Yeah.
gosh, like we kept just being told, from our doctor that everything was going to work and everything was going to be fine. And here we were, a year later, after 6 months of Clomid and 4 rounds of IUI, and now this IVF had failed, and we just felt so defeated. And so
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
after that one failed, then, we decided to move forward again with the next round. And at that point, just I just decided that we needed to put in 2 embryos. I was like, we need to advocate for ourselves. I was like, I can't go
Mm.
through this again. Like, what they're
Mm-hmm.
saying is not
Mm-hmm.
working. And so we got the approval to put 2 in. How our beautiful twin girls arrived.
So